Confident nutritionist, dynamic iridology, acquired pigment, one way irides change. When I started studying iridology way back in the early 1980s, I was taught that if you did cleanses, if you took the right supplements, if you did all the right homework, you could change your eye color. You could change your eyes from brown to blue, or you could get the brown freckles out of your eyes. You could do all kinds of things. As I progressed through my study of iridology, I moved to the constitutional philosophy of iridology, which had more current research backing it up. They said that the eyes don't change. What you're born with is what you've got. That was in the early 1990s. Now we know that eyes do change, but not the way we originally thought. We used to think we could get pigment out of the eyes, that we could cleanse it out. Now we know instead that we acquire pigment, that as we get older, our bodies may set down extra kinds of pigment in the irides as a way of perhaps letting us know that there are some things brewing that need to be taken care of. We're going to look at 5 cases here. Now, as we do this, I want to let you know that I know that this is in no way a scientific study. Here's why. Every slide you're going to see has 2 iris images from the same person, one from 19 years ago and one that's very recent. The first pictures were taken with a film camera, beautiful single lens reflex camera, but the images you're seeing were scanned from those photos. So those photos are now nearly 20 years old. The colors have distorted a little bit. We can't use these for really accurate iridology anymore. The newer image on each slide was recently taken with a 24 megapixel Canon T6i Rebel, so a beautiful digital camera. You will notice that because of the different lighting setups, because one setup is using an LED light, another was using the flash, because of lighting differences in the rooms, that the colors are different. Even the fact that different brands of film print different color tones. Some brands are known for being more green, some for being more orange, more red. And so we have that discrepancy that we can't really balance out for right now. So we need to remember as we're doing this that we are not comparing color, absolutely not looking saying, wow, look at how that's more blue. That's not what we're looking at here. We're also not comparing the pupil size. My original camera left the pupils pretty much the size they are. My newer digital camera is a pretty bright light, and it tends to shrink the pupils down to show us more of the fiber structure. So here we go. This first image was taken when this young man was 9 years old. We're going to look at 4 siblings, 4 boys and their dad. So this is when he was 9 years old. This is last year when he was 28. You will notice that coming across the screen, we have lots of little kinds of pigment, whether it's the rust or the little pockets of splatters in here, or even up here, that this boy did not have when he was 9 years old. He has acquired these. You might think those look like 2 really different eyes. The thing that makes them look different mostly is the pupil size. If the pupil size is shrunk down, we're going to find they're exactly the same. Notice we have the same feature here and here. Notice we have this transversal and this transversal. So these are the same eye. This fiber has a little jog in it. This fiber has a little jog in it. These are the same eye, the same person, just 19 years later. And we see the acquisition of pigment. His older brother, this was taken when the young man was 12 years of age. And this one was taken last year when he was 31. And you'll notice again, we've got landmarks, this interesting little breach in the collarette with the lacuna with some dark little crypt things in it is showing up here. Same eye. We have this same feature here as well. But notice how we have a pigment here. The pigment by this feature is suggesting that there might be something activating here. We have this kind of dusty, dotty pigment happening here that he didn't have at the age of 12. And we have this large brown pigment here that he also did not have at the age of 12. Their older brother. This was taken at the age of 14, and this was taken last year when he turned 33. Not too many changes here. Both pictures have the same pigment sitting at 6 o'clock, but this one has an acquired pigment at about 4:45. This eye does not have that acquired pigment. So over the 19 years, he has acquired this one. This picture of another older sibling was taken when the young man was 16 years of age. We have this orange pigment here. Notice that 19 years later, he still has that pigment. There's really not a whole lot of change there. Maybe a little bit more sitting here. We can't even say that this is darker, different camera, different lighting. We can't compare that at all. What we do see is down here in the nutritive zone, we have this black speckling kind of pigment as well, with some of it coming down into here. This didn't exist over here at all. It makes me wonder if he's actually acquired this, or is camera film not sensitive enough to pick up this kind of fine detail? I don't know. Now their dad. You'll see that he has the same outcropping here, going into a radial. Got it here. We've got this one, which with the smaller pupil looks much narrower here. We have all of the same features showing up. What we have different is that 19 years ago, this is fairly clean. Now he has this showing up in here. So what we see from this is that pigment is acquired. It is one of the changes that can happen in eyes. And we need to be aware of that. This is one reason why good iridologists take photos of their clients' eyes annually. And hopefully they've got a few years in a row where they're using the exact same equipment in the exact same setting, and they're setting their camera up exactly the same way for f-stops and shutter speeds and whatnot, so that we have a very consistent image diary, an image journal, if you will, of our clients' eyes. And in doing that, we can track the development of these pigments, and we may be able to get in there and alter diet, alter lifestyle, alter supplements to support the body in a way that will help it to not set down pigment. Now, really, it doesn't matter what the pigment is, right? We're not doing this to stop setting down pigment per se. This isn't about keeping the eye color a certain way. This is about recognizing that the pigment tells us that something is activating in the body, something is likely out of balance. So if we can stop the progress of the pigment, we have potentially halted the development of the problem. And maybe we can backtrack the problem as well. So that's it in a brief overview. Pigment acquisition over 19 years in a family of 4 boys and their dad.